Welcome to part 2 of how Trump's big beautiful bill is going to cut or raise your income. But this time we're looking at the year 2030 because that's going to be the halfway point of the bill's evolving impact. So buckle up because 2030 is the year that the bill's deeper changes kick in. Okay, so if you're making under $20,000, you're losing an average of $885. That's a 5.4% drop. This group relies heavily on federal aid like SNAP, Medicaid, refundable tax credits, and by 2030, spending cuts shrink those benefits. Now, if you're making between $20,000 and $58,000, then you're losing an average of $1,090. That's a 2.3% drop. This group also sees big losses in benefits, but little gain in tax cuts. They're often just above the eligibility for safety net programs, so they get squeezed from both sides. Now, if you're making between $58,000 and $105,000, then you can expect to gain $45 on average. So that's about a 0.1% gain in income. This group is in a policy gap, so they're too poor for tax loopholes and they're too rich for government support. If you're making between $105,000 and $195,000, you gain an average of $2,505. That's a 1.7% gain. If you're making between $195,000 and $296,000, then you get an average of $4,625. That's a 1.9% average gain. Now, if you're making between $296,000 and $436,000, you're gaining an average of $6,805. That is also a 1.9% increase. Now, if you're making between $436,000 and $1.1 million, then you're getting an average of $17,275, which is about a 2.7% increase. These groups benefit from a stacked mix of tax breaks. Lower tax brackets, pass-through business deductions, capital gains preferences. Obviously, this group doesn't rely on any government support, so the cuts don't touch them, but the tax savings really stack up. Okay, let's move on to the big dog. So if you're making between $1.1 million and $4.7 million, you can expect to gain an average of $27,195. That's an income increase of 1.5%. But if you're making over $4.7 million, then you can expect to gain an average of $72,885. That is a 0.5% income increase for this group. So as you guys can see, the top 0.1% households benefit heavily from the bill's corporate and investor-friendly tax changes. The only downside for this group is that the SALT deduction cap returns in 2030, which basically limits tax write-offs for high tax states. But if you own stock or you own a company or business, you're still going to be winning big time. And this is just 2030, the halfway point of the big beautiful bill. By 2033, these numbers are gonna look even more different. So if you want those numbers or you just want more tax breakdowns that actually help you save money, then like this video and follow Keeper for part 3, where we break down the bill's final impact.